Hello, everyone. This is Tanya Devane with the Omnia Group. I am so glad that you have joined us today to talk about employee retention strategies. You have got a great product, your market is primed and ready, the economy is bouncing back, your business plan is innovative, but unfortunately, your workforce is understaffed. Your employees are disengaged. Even the best product and plans can't overcome a weak workforce. That's why building the right team and retaining your top talent is critical for success today. And it's why employee retention is essential for long term growth. We get so many requests for this particular session because we want to keep that top talent. We want to keep our people engaged. We went through the process of hiring them, so let's keep them. But before we talk about, getting into the strategies, exactly how we keep them, let's talk about why do employees leave. Think about that for a moment. If you had to pick the top three, four, five reasons, why do you think employees leave? Well, the first one is unrealistic expectations. And that sometimes happens right during that interview. You're describing the position and they think, "Oh, wow, I'll be able to become CEO in a matter of 2 months," because they really believe in an aggressive career path. Or it could go the other way. The interviewee, they said that they were this awesome, great salesperson, that they had a half a million in sales last year. And so you think they're going to hit the ground running and be able to soar and take your business to the next level. So unrealistic expectations on both sides of the fence. The next is a mismatch between job and person. So while the person interviewed well, they were great and wonderful, and they had a great work ethic. They came in every day, they worked hard, but for some reason, they just couldn't close business. They kind of stayed in prep mode the whole time. They had their call list, they had that Excel spreadsheet, they had what they were going to do, they had the process down, but that never turned into a check coming in. And so sometimes we have the right person, but they're just in the wrong role. Or it could be communication issues. Like my mom and dad always said, it's not always what you say, it's how you say it. And we have some people on staff that can get very defensive. Or it seems like if I just say boo, they start to cry. But then other people, I can say the exact same thing and we just laugh and joke and, move on about our day and not get offended. Or, especially in this age now with technology, and who goes to anybody's office? We're always sending out an email. I always say sometimes people read emails with attitude. You may not have meant it that way, but when it went through the wire, doop, 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 over to that person's desk, there you go. They're fuming. They're mad and upset. And you know what? I'm going to quit this job. I don't like the way they're talking to me. And you meant it very innocently. It was nothing, but it was just the way they perceived and read it. So sometimes communication issues are the problem. Next, we have that career path. Everybody wants to feel like they are moving somewhere. They want to have that forward trajectory happening in their lives. And if they feel like they're in this one position and they're going to be in this position for the next 20 years, and that's not exactly where they want to be. And sometimes, even with smaller offices, you may not have you may not have another position they can move into, but maybe just giving them added responsibility, maybe putting them on larger accounts, broadening their responsibilities and what they're accountable for. That can also help in regards to that career path. And we're going to talk about all these issues in further along as we get through the presentation today. And then lastly, stress. If you have one person that's doing an awesome job and then you start seeing their production decline, it could be that they're stressed, meaning that there's so much work, you're not hiring enough people, like you've let people go or people have quit, and now you still have this one person doing the job of three. Now that, that can be overwhelming, that can be stressful, or you can have one person doing all the work and still have those other three employees there. That's very stressful. We're going to talk about that as well. So when we're talking about why people leave, I don't want you just to believe what I'm saying. Let's go ahead and put some numbers behind what I'm saying. 43% of the respondents of this survey cited that, they need to fill positions quickly as the main reason that bad hires are made. And so we know if we don't get it right on the front end, it's not going to be any good on the back end. So we're not going to retain them, nor would we want to retain anybody that's not working out well. So when we do those quick hires and, I'm going with my gut, oh yeah, I felt like he was going to be a great person. And then I think, oh wow, his evil twin showed up. That wasn't the person that I interviewed. I know I have experienced that when I was hiring people. Like I truly thought that somebody else showed up because this was not the person that was dynamic, engaging, and wonderful at the interview. That next number you can see 80% is due to bad hiring decisions, and that's from the Harvard Business Review. So you can see how getting it right on the front end is so important. And then look at that last one. 36% said it wasn't necessarily performance problems, it was a behavioral match. So the culture piece. So why do people leave positions? People leave positions because of management cult or the culture. They don't necessarily leave the position because of the position, because we all need a job. We just would rather work someplace that we enjoy going to every day and not, dreading it as we're going, up the stairs. So now we have the factual piece. So we have the numbers that back up. So now let's talk about how we can get that top talent to stay and how and the retention of those individuals that we want to keep. So let's talk about first recruitment and hiring. Recruitment necessity, as you can see from those previous numbers, we definitely want to get that part right. Making the right hire, whether you're launching a new business or trying to grow an existing one, the best way to improve every facet of that business is by tailoring your hiring to attract the top talent. We have a whole webinar or a whole series in regards to recruiting and hiring and interviews. So making sure that you get someone good on the front end. So please check out our YouTube channel and find out about a whole piece about that recruiting and hiring. We are going to talk a little bit more about that during this session, but you can get a whole 60 minutes on recruitment and hiring. The next piece is onboarding and orientation. So think about it for a minute. What does your onboarding look like? How long does your onboarding typically take? And think about that for a second. And when we get to that point, really, really see that it's a big difference between orientation and onboarding. Then the next part of retaining that top talent is training and development. Think about that why people leave, that career path piece. Training provides the opportunity to learn new skills and helps them hone their existing skills. You're able to grow in a position and feel good about the job that you're doing is very important to people. And that not only helps you, it helps them as well. I mean, now if I'm happy at my job, if I am growing at my job, now I'm going to be able to grow your business because as I learn more, I'm going to be able to help the clients more, which is going to be able to help your bottom line. The next piece is kudos, meaningful recognition. I mean, how do we show appreciation? The basic idea is to, simply say thank you. I know in today's world with, all the social media that gives you the push notification that, oh, it's somebody's birthday, it's somebody's anniversary. I mean, we really don't even have to think too much. And now, especially on some of the social media sites, you don't even have to type in anything. It just says, do you want to say congrats? Do you want to say happy birthday? You just hit a button and there you go. I've given somebody the kudos, the congratulations. But sometimes people need a little bit more than you just clicking one button to say thank you. It takes time and effort to show appreciation, and that definitely resonates with your employees. And by getting to know what truly motivates and how to motivate individuals is meaningful, and it will result in people being happier, more productive, and loyal employees. And then the last part of that retention piece is termination and outplacement. I mean, definitely employee termination is one of the most disliked requirements of being a manager. But the termination of marginal employees, if handled compassionately, maturely, will only generate from those who will help in regards to your brand recognition, will help to kind of stop people from not necessary from bad mouthing you on Glassdoor, because when people leave, of course they have the opportunity to hurt your brand. And you don't want that to happen. And so if we can handle terminations in a more positive way, I mean, it is a sad event and we are going to discuss how to handle that piece. Remember, it's not the people you fire who make your life miserable, it's the ones that you don't. And so we really want to think about that as well. So now let's talk about that part one of retention. So we're going to start with recruiting and hiring. So first, when we're talking about recruiting and hiring, we think about that we want to make sure that we are attracting the right people to our organization. And the key part of attracting the right candidates to the position is how you help candidates understand the company's mission, your culture, and what it's like to work there. The job ad should include a brief a brief description of the organization. Why is your organization a great place to work? Why do people want to come work for you? What is it like to work there? I mean, do you have casual days, flexible days? Do we dance in the halls? Whatever, the opportunity for development and career progression. So when you're posting those ads, when you're putting out those feelers, you want to put out there what it's like to work in your organization. A day in a life working for XYZ company is like this. So understanding that piece is very essential. Also, when we're talking about putting out the feelers and, the roles and things like that, you want to talk about the overview of the position. You want people to understand what this position looks like. What's the purpose of the position? We all want to have a purpose in life. So, what is the purpose of this role? You also want to put out there the type of qualifications that you're looking for. And so the reader can kind of self-assess and say, do I have those qualifications? And when you're thinking about putting out the qualifications, think about it in a couple of ways with the must-haves and what I would like. The must-haves are the bare minimum needed to be successful for this role. So, for example, if you want someone that has Microsoft Word or Microsoft Office experience, and you will not accept anyone without that, then that is a must-have. But before you put that must-have out there for this particular role, think about this. What if someone had everything else you were looking for? Everything, but they did not have Microsoft Office. Would you still want to hire that person and just train them on Microsoft Office? If the answer to that question is yes, then that is not a must-have. That is a nice to have. So really scrutinize your must-have because you want to attract people to this role. But so you want to have those criteria, but you don't want to start wavering on what is acceptable. The third piece in regards to the recruiting and hiring is the application process. You want to advise the candidates kind of where to get more info, typically your website, but I mean, they probably are already Googling your name, your company, but just kind of give them some more information that, you can go to our website and your website should really display who you are. You probably have a community action page of what you all have done in the community or where you all have donated or given some volunteer hours. How can they submit their application? And the necessary contact details is also beneficial when we're talking about that recruiting and hiring. Whether the selected candidate will need to meet any special requirements, language testing, criminal background, the application deadline if you have one, and if you want to get a lot of candidates, but we also just don't want to get quantity over quality. So, to avoid excessive inquiries, it's useful to advise that while the applications, are appreciated, only those candidates selected for an interview will be contacted. And that's going to help in regards to alleviate some of those calls and emails saying, "Hey, Deb, did I get the job? Did y'all make a decision? I turned in my application. I sent you my resume. Jessica, when will I hear back?" Giving them the information up front will help you in regards to saving your time so you're not wasting, or you're not spending time answering emails or deleting emails, whatever the case may be. The format and wording of your job ad should be consistent with your organization's style and brand. And like I said earlier, we have a whole 60 minutes on recruiting and hiring. And when I'm talking to clients, every day we talk about posting those job ads and getting people pumped up and excited in regards to joining your organization. And that's really what you want, because you want someone that's coming in heavily engaged, and then you can just maintain that. And that's how you're going to retain that top talent. So part two of, retention is the onboarding piece. And I just want to, say onboarding, as you can see, is not orientation. There are differences. So if think about what those differences possibly could be. And when we're looking at the difference between onboarding and orientation, the first main difference is one, onboarding lasts up to a year. Orientation is 1 to 7 days. Think about orientation is an event. Onboarding is the actual process. It's important for every organization to implement a formal type of onboarding program that is closely aligned with the culture, the brand, and the business objective. So we're trying to get this person up to speed to move in the direction that we're trying to take this company. So that onboarding process should be going in that direction. It should be leading them down that path to the promised land, to the light, to the goal. And so you can't really do that in 1 to 7 days. It can really take up to a year. And onboarding is people driven because we really want to focus on the person. Like, what does this person need? You know, how can I communicate with this person? What type of direction do they need? Are they more of that detail oriented, wanting to know every single step? Or are they that person that I just kind of give them the goal and they kind of get there themselves? Where orientation is process driven. HR, I need you to fill out your direct deposit. I need you to pick your insurance. You have 10 days. I need you to read the, employee manual. It's just boom, 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 boom. And I'll just give you a little tidbit with this orientation and onboarding. Don't overwhelm your person on the first day and have them sit with HR for 8 hours. That is very boring. Remember, you got this person, they came in engaged, pumped up, excited. I want to work for Jessica because Jessica is awesome. But now I have to go sit with Steve for 8 hours, for 4 hours, for 5 hours in the HR and talk about benefits and talk about this is what you can't do, this is what you can do, this is where you have to be. No, that you're just you are lowering my engagement score right at that moment. So think about breaking that up. Definitely get the direct deposit because yes, we all want to get paid, we all want to get our paycheck. So let's do the direct deposit, but does everything need to be done on day one? Probably not. We can break that up a little bit and think about it. It's more people driven. And we also have a whole webinar in regards to onboarding as well. And so you're just getting a brief synopsis of what that looks like. But definitely, again, check out our YouTube channel to get the whole enchilada in regards to onboarding. And then onboarding is also about bringing people together. So we're going to have a kumbaya moment. We don't want people to feel isolated like orientation sometimes can. This is Tony, he's your IT. That's Carrie, she's your marketing person. Okay, okay, hi Carrie, as I walk by the office. Hi Tony, can I find out a little bit more about the individual? Let's come together. That's truly, Why would I go to Carrie? What will Carrie help me with? You know, why, what are the resources that she has? Well, Carrie's great at creating marketing campaigns and creating landing pages for the different associations and things like that. So now you kind of know why you would go to Carrie. I know I worked for one company where before I even started, they kind of sent out a dossier of everyone and it gave a little tidbit. So I found out little things like they, adopt pets and, they do dog rescue or things like that, which, now when I went to that organization, I felt like I was a little part of the team, which was wonderful. So think about that when we're talking about that onboarding piece. It's not orientation. You want that onboarding to be the socialization of the individual to the work environment, and that's going to help them stay because they feel like they're a part of the team. So now let's get to the third part of retention, and that is we hire for behaviors and we train for skill. So let's look at this programming. So I want to hire a programmer. Okay, so they're going to need to have the hard skill of programming. But I can't necessarily train my programmer to be caring because my programmer actually is client facing. So I need them to have a bit of a caring type of spirit because people are going to call, they're going to have problems with their IT, and I'm going to need you to show a little empathy when you do it. And so, but that's hard. You can't train somebody to be caring. I can train them to program because, okay, here's the book, read the book, let's give you a class. That's the same thing with bookkeeping. I can, give you a class. I can offer to give you a class, but I can't make you be an assertive bookkeeper. Um, you know, for the people that have to do the accounts receivables and the accounts payable, when we don't get paid, we need someone to kind of be assertive in regards to get them to give us our money. And then also, so that's the behavior. It's not necessarily a skill. And so then a skill would be accounting. So I can once again train somebody to be an accountant, but I can't hire someone who and then train them to be a multitasker. Either you are comfortable with multitasking or you're not comfortable with multitasking. But understanding that on the front end, so understanding the behaviors that I'm going to get and the strengths and challenges of those behaviors will be very beneficial. So let's talk a little bit more about the behaviors because the training piece, those skills pieces, those are some of those requirements must have, and you can send somebody to school to program, to bookkeep, to account. But we can't, there's not a school out there for how to be more caring. Really can't train for that, can't get a degree in caring. So let's talk about those behaviors a little bit more because these are the people that are actually going to be coming into your organization. So understanding what behaviors are better suited for the different types of positions is essential to help them in regards to keeping them because now we have the right people in the right role on the right bus going in the right direction. So let's talk about this assertiveness versus cautiousness. Are assertive people, producers, leaders, managers, are cautious people, service reps, account managers, people that are on the service side of the house. And so, depending on what the position is, will depend on where you want, what type of behavior you're looking for that role. I talk to clients all the time in regards to the behaviors that they need for that position. So, when they're hiring a producer, when they're hiring a salesperson, we talk about the assertive piece. And then if they're hiring somebody to assist that producer, or if they're hiring somebody for their HR, for their bookkeeper, well, then we look at that cautious piece. And so now the next types of behaviors is basically talking about the communication style. Like we have the communicators that are gregarious, great at building relationships and rapport. Then we have more of those analytical, fact-oriented communicators. And why this is so essential in regards to retaining that top talent is because this is how you communicate with them. This is how you give them the information. So if you are someone that is great with, the kudos, the attaboys, pats on the back, but I am someone that needs facts, figures, and proof. When you tell me, congratulations, Tanya, you did an awesome job with that client, that didn't motivate me. You thought that you were doing your due diligence and you could check off the kudos box. No, I'm going to need you to uncheck the box because you didn't give me any information. Okay, I handled a call. Wonderful. That's my job. I'm supposed to take calls. So I don't understand why you're congratulating me for picking up the phone. What you would want to say in that situation is, Tanya, I really appreciate the way you handled client X. That was a great way to calm down that situation and to really execute the plan that we had in place when customers call in with, with an emergency situation. Thank you so much for handling that for us. So now I know, oh, I picked up the phone. I helped a customer. I de-escalated the situation. That's really what I'm getting the kudos for, was for the de-escalation. So now that's something that I can hold on to. So now I'm motivated by that. So now when I pick up the phone the next time, that is what's running in my head. I don't want this situation to get out of control. Let's keep everyone calm. And that's what we want. And so you want to understand the communication style of your team. And then we talk about, impatience are routine oriented. So we talk about the pace of the individual. Is this a position that is going to have a lot of variety, that, is going to be quick? Or is this a position that is, everything kind of goes as planned, not a lot of things upset the schedule. So, understanding the pace of the actual position can assist you in regards to putting people in that position. Because if you put somebody in a data intensive, all they're doing is just crunching the numbers every day, just looking at an Excel spreadsheet, no client facing, nothing. It's just a data entry, just putting numbers into a sheet, into a spreadsheet. And this person likes a lot of variety. Guess what? That person's probably not going to stay because they're going to get bored. And even though they look like they've had, jobs that had a high attention to detail and, never made mistakes and they had high quality standards, if you put somebody that likes a lot of variety in that type of role, you're also going to see the quality go down because now I'm bored. And when I get bored, mistakes start to happen, things get missed. So you want to make sure that not only are you matching the pace of the individual, but you're also matching how much structure the individual wants. So you have some people that are really comfortable with going with their gut, and other people that, nope, I want to know what you expect before I move forward. You have some people that will ask for forgiveness, and you have other people that are going to ask for permission. Depending on the role and depending what you need, one is better than the other. Like for a sales role, you want someone decisive because me as the sales manager, I'm not going to be able to go out on every call with you. And when a client has something new or quirky that they want you to kind of do for them, I'm going to need that salesperson to be comfortable with going with their gut and making that decision and getting the check and bringing it home. Where, if you have somebody that needs more structure, they're going to feel very uncomfortable in that situation. And so that's why they ask questions up front. I know sometimes when I'm talking to clients, they say, Tanya, as soon as I go out there and implement that change, John is going to have 8,000 questions. And it just gets on my nerves. Well, John is not trying to get on your nerves. What John wants is John just wants to make sure that he understands exactly what this looks like because he wants to be the subject matter expert for his client. So when he's asking you questions, he's really just thinking about what questions am I going to get asked. So I want to make sure that I have my ducks in a row so I don't look stupid when the client calls me and asks me a question. So that's why John is asking the questions, not to be difficult, not to try to be the one that doesn't want to get along. He just doesn't want to feel dumb when he gets on the call with the client and they have questions. So just kind of know that on the front side, and it's beneficial when you understand their behaviors and know what those behaviors are because you will be able to see it on the front side of the house, and when you are going out there to implement that change, then they are you already have the questions answered. You've already written them down. You've already said, I know you're probably thinking about how are we going to implement this new customer satisfaction survey. Well, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to just add a link to our email address, and then also to all of our signature lines will be they can get in for a drawing for a $5 Starbucks card. Well, I guess $5 really wouldn't get you a lot at Starbucks. So let's go ahead and ramp it up to $25. You get a $25 Starbucks card, but then giving them that type of information up front so they kind of know how it works will be beneficial. And then lastly, you want consistency. You want to make sure that who you saw in the interview is who's going to show up. And those are some of the behaviors that you can that are measured that we let you know about. And then how focused they are. We want to make sure that they are focused in regards to this position, this role, and they're not giving us a wishy-washy view. So once you definitely understand the behaviors, it's really important to understand ourselves. So becoming that self-aware so we can start, connecting, influencing, and engaging. And that brings us to the fourth part of that retention piece, employee engagement. And when I say employee engagement, think about what does that mean? What does that look like when I say employee engagement? Well, if you want the working definition, it is the emotional commitment the employee has to the organization and its goals. That is awesome. That is what we want. We want that person to feel like this is their business. So if they are committed, attached to my organization, to my goals, and they really feel it, then they are going to be working towards that. And as long as my goals are not going in the wrong direction and they match up with my mission and vision, this will make my business more productive. This will make my business more successful. So when we're looking at, so now we are, thinking about how do we give those kudos? And just like the suits on this little boy, one size does not fit all. Personal achievement versus recognized for contribution. Some people, if I made the sale, I want to be personally recognized. I want to have it in my commission check. I want to see it. I want to feel it. And other people, I want, as long as the team is successful, then I'll be happy to get that bonus. Like, I don't want to work on a commission. And that's the difference. So that's typically why your salespeople work on a commission, which is a personal type of attaboy, and your service team work on a bonus structure because it's more about what part their piece of the puzzle played into the whole and into the whole outlook of the company. And that's what that recognized for contribution. So that's why it's great to have a bonus. And so when I'm talking to my clients in regards to creating those job ads and how they explain things, I make sure that, if you offer a bonus, put that. If it's a commission, put that because that's going to attract the right person for that role. Next, we talk about public recognition versus private accolades. This is so important. Not everybody wants to be called out at the quarterly meeting. Not everybody wants, to be paraded around because they did a great job. Some people like that privatized type feedback. I know we have a colleague here that she has a birthday, and for our birthdays we give everybody their, their day, their individual. They get to pick the dessert that they want, and so because she is more of a private type of individual, we have to couple hers with other people, with somebody else's anniversary, because she does not want to be put on quote unquote display. She literally gets red from, from her toes to her head when she has to do that. When if she's put out that way and saying, "Oh, congratulations, happy birthday." No. So now what you think you were doing this awesome great thing, providing cake and celebrating them, you've actually done the opposite for this employee because she doesn't like it. Not at all. Like she would dread it. I remember, Tanya, I don't want to do it. Just can you make them not do it? Can we just do something else? Literally, we would have these conversations and we switched it up. So, because we don't want her birthday celebration to be a torture, but we do all want cake. So how can both of us be happy? How can I get cake and you not get embarrassed? We found a way. We just combined some celebrations together. Next, long-term goals versus short-term goals. Think about, if you have a short-term goal individual, and all you talk about are long-term goals. In 6 months, this is where you need to be. I'm going to lose interest. I'm going to get bored because 6 months is a lot of things can change in 6 months. So when you think about maybe sometimes breaking goals down into smaller chunks. And so now those short-term goals, individuals, now they can feel the win. They can get up enough speed to get over to the next hurdle. And so that's how you're going to retain them because they're not going to get bored. They're going to feel like they're being successful. But what about those? Don't forget about your long term. Now, if you only give me, if you break my goal down in a week and say I need to do, 100 calls this week, well, that seems a little daunting. That seems like a lot. And so now, oh, that's nerve wracking. So break it, you want to long range that goal. Now, well, you just need to get 400 in by the month. Oh, 400 in by the month, that's only around 20, so now they can start thinking about it in different ways. And so think about long term versus short term. And then next, breaking new ground versus strengthening the foundation. Meaning, are these people innovators and or are they someone that likes, more of following what's already been created? I don't need to recreate the wheel. So when we're thinking about kudos, when we're thinking about giving those attaboys, maybe when we're talking about breaking that new ground, maybe we're talking about, letting them come up with a new creative idea, putting them lead on projects or something like that so they can kind of get that feel, the win, that need. Because now they're being a, we're going to go ahead and allow you to create one new product or one new marketing campaign that and have them breaking that new ground. That's going to keep them motivated. That's going to give them those kudos. We all understand that kudos is a wonderful part, and kudos is usually the fun part of leadership. That is, what we enjoy to do. We enjoy congratulating our team and saying great job. But, that's on the one side of the spectrum. On the other side of the spectrum is what we might not enjoy as much. And that brings us to part 5. And that's the, do we need to terminate? Do we need to separate? So the first thing you want to determine is what is the issue. So, is it a head issue? So, like it's head, heart, hand. So that first part is the head, meaning knowledge. Do they understand the product, the service? If not, then maybe we need to do some education, or maybe we need to do some training. Maybe we need to send them to a class. So make sure before we let them go, before we start going down that path, that we have done our due diligence in regards to giving them the knowledge, or having them that training piece. Make sure we've done that part. The second thing we want to consider is the heart. Do they have passion for the product or service? We've all heard that, I could sell ice to an Eskimo, but if I don't really have a strong passion for ice, while I can sell it, I just may not stay there very long in Alaska because it's cold. And I don't like the cold. That's why I live in Tampa, Florida, where it's the sunshine state. So I can sell it, but I don't want to. I have no passion for that. So you want to make sure that they have the passion. And you can find that out during the interview. Like, why do you want to come work for us? If you could build your perfect job, what does that look like? If you could work for your perfect boss, what does that look like? Those are some of the interview questions I would ask to find out, what is drawing them to me, to this role. And then the last part is hand. And that's basically mean, do they have the tools? Do they have the means to sell the product, the product or the service? Do they have business cards? Do they have a phone number? Do they have a phone? Do they have a laptop? Do they have access to the lead generator? Things like that. You want to make sure that we haven't dropped the ball on the leadership side and have not set them up for success. If you do have to let them go after you've done all of this, you know, after you have been a mentor, a coach, you've trained, be fully prepared to deal with all the questions that are going to arise at that time of termination is announced. This is the one time you won't be able to say, I'll get back to you on that. You kind of need to have everything, you have to have all your ducks in a row. You just, some of the questions that probably come up is today my last day? Or when will I receive my severance pay? And, when will I receive a bonus that I was eligible for? Or, when is my last paycheck? Will I be, paid for my sick leave? Things like that. Having those questions, the answers to those questions can kind of help in regards to this termination, because it is, it is rough. That is not the fun part of the job. The termination meeting, it should be brief. We don't need to belabor the point. It is what it is. Think about maybe 15, 20 minutes is usually sufficient. People always want more, but we can stay here for an hour. The fact is the fact, we're going to have to let you go. But that's why you want to make sure that you've done all this other stuff, the head, the heart, the hand, get all that stuff. Make sure you've done everything. And so that's why it won't last long. And so, experts kind of are all over the place in regards to what day you should do it. Are Mondays better than Fridays? There's really not a strong consistency in regards to the day. But what they do suggest, what everybody almost, agrees with, that we should do it sometime in the middle of the week, like maybe a Wednesday or a Thursday. And that's just so the person will have an opportunity, if they have to get unemployment or if they have to do some other things, that they can kind of start looking for another job and not wait for the weekend, not wait for Monday to kind of start getting ducks in a row. So think about maybe in the middle of the week. But I mean, there's really, I'm not there's not a day of the week that it's going to be glorious and you're going to be, oh, I'm so happy I get to let that person go. That's not going to happen. But we can kind of alleviate some of that stress and pressure by making sure that we've done our due diligence on the front end, that we've truly done everything we could before having to let this person go. Because remember, keeping someone in your organization longer than you need to affects your organization, affects everyone else, and you could lose more than just that one person. And now, I don't want to end the session being the Debbie Downer on this downer note of, oh, I had to let someone go, because no one likes to do that. So we're going to give you just a few more bonus tips about retention in regards to how to keep your best employees, because we want to end this on a positive note. The single most expensive part of any organization are your employees, the salaries, the benefits, healthcare, 401k. I mean, the list can go on, vacations, all the categories. People are expensive. I bet, I'm probably preaching to the choir. Anyone that has a child, children are expensive. People are expensive as well. So once you've invested the money and time, let's keep that top talent. Let's talk about keeping them. So let's talk about some ways, just give you some bonus ways in regards to keeping them. First is the pay. You want to pay above the standard rates. To hire and keep the best, you need to pay them the best. We aren't talking about, I mean, I'm not saying everybody needs to get paid $1 million, because no one could do that. But if you are paying people at or below what standard, you're probably going to get at or below standard individuals. So think about that. I mean, when you're really thinking about hiring and bringing people on, and even for your existing employees, this is such an important part or point. If you have an existing employee and you're thinking about possibly maybe bringing someone else on, you could probably pay that existing employee five, $10,000 more. They are going to be more engaged, more productive, because now they truly feel like you are invested in them. And instead of having to hire that other person, you have saved yourself basically what, 30, $40,000 by just bumping this one person's pay by 10. Now, of course, that is, be, because that just makes sense. Why not pay the person that's doing a great job more than giving somebody bringing someone else in, paying them 40, $50,000 and keeping this person at the same pay? You would get a more productive, a loyal employee that will want to stay with you. Change their pay from anywhere from 20% to 40% over market rate. Pay your best people what they're worth, and not some standard established for, average workers in that position. You will get above average when you pay above average. So just, kind of think about that. But I mean, I know budgets are hard, and it is what it is, but push that budget when you're thinking about trying to hire top talent. Also, think about promotion. When your best people are doing the kind of work that, makes a difference, that people are, that they need to be recognized for. One great way to do that is that promotion. Let them move up that career path. Remember, that was one of the things that really keep people with your organization is them being able to move up within the organization. Give them what is well deserved. This tells the rest of the company and others outside that you appreciate extra effort, that you value extra effort, that the person has put forth to make the company more profitable and efficient. But I do want to caution you in regards to promotion. It is so important not to move people out of a job that they love and are doing great at and are excelling at in order to quote unquote reward them with a promotion. A promotion could mean just a change in title and salary without decreasing the employee's satisfaction and effectiveness. That's why sometimes great salespeople, when we promote them up to sales managers, they falter. They are not as great or wonderful as you thought they were going to be because they're motivated differently. Salespeople and managers, while they have the same pattern, at the they are that what's driving that pattern is different. So that level of assertiveness, that column one, um, is either money or power. So money meaning that commission that the salesperson is motivated by. Power means that added responsibility and authority that the sales manager is motivated by. So if you have a salesperson that's motivated by money, moving them over to a sales manager role is not necessarily going to motivate them, because now you've taken away some of that individual reward success, the individual money. Now I'm relying upon my team to give me that commission. So think about that piece when we're talking about a promotion. It should really be a reward and not something that people dread. And then think about employee input. Everybody wants to feel valued. You know, who knows what it takes to do the job right? Maybe the person that's actually doing the job. If you want to keep people, then you want to involve them in decision in excuse me, in the decision making process. Create what I like to call is like a safe zone where you can ask the hard questions about what needs to be changed. And don't, and when they come up with answers, we're not saying that everything is going to make it to final production, but maybe some things can. But people will truly appreciate just the opportunity to truly give their opinion and to give you some information. Just hear them out. You may not be able to implement every suggestion, but you're definitely going to feel a different vibe within that organization. You're going to start feeling the energy amp up because now I know that you truly value what I have to say. And for some people in your organization, just to kind of give you another little bonus tip in regards to getting employee input, is you want to kind of send, an agenda or send a questionnaire out before the big meeting to say, hey, we're going to have a think tank session on how we can increase our sales in this particular market. If we just go into a meeting and that's what we say, and that's the question that we ask, and we haven't given any prep work, haven't sent out an email before, sometimes you will hear crickets. That that meeting room will be silent because some people within your organization, they need some time to process. They need some time to think. They need some time to research because they don't want to sound dumb when they're coming to the meeting and making this suggestion. So if you give out the agenda ahead of time, maybe a couple of days, you don't want to give them a whole week, or you don't want to give them a really long time, but just a few days before the meeting, saying this is, we're going to have a meeting on Wednesday, and I want to think about new ways we can break into this market. Please bring your ideas, and we can kind of hash those out. So that is one way that you will get better participation in your meeting, because now they've had a chance to research it and kind of figure some things out before they make the presentation. And then the last little tidbit in regards to, the second to the last tidbit in regards to retaining your top people is independence. Give them some room to breathe. Great employees know what they're supposed to be doing and when it needs to be done. Constant reminders or micromanaging will drive them, straight for the door, box in hand. Give them the task or project. Be available to answer questions. Like I said, answer some of those questions up front, but otherwise leave them alone. If you have people on staff that truly like direction and guidance, that's wonderful, but they still don't want to be they still don't want to be micromanaged. If you assign me a project and you want this project done, let's say you just want the renewals for, the every month, on the 15th of every month, you want me to give you the renewals. Once you say, Tanya, please give me the renewals for the last month, I need this, I need the document on the 15th of every month, and could you sort them by volume? Now I know Jessica wants the renewals on the 15th for the previous month, and she wants me to sort them by volume. Jessica doesn't have to come to me on the 13th saying, are you going to get me that document? I already understand what the expectation is. So that's how you give them the independence. Even the people that like a lot of structure within your organization, they don't want you on, sitting on their shoulder saying, give me that paper, give me that paper. Nobody wants that. It's just how you set them up for that independence. We all want to feel empowered. It's just how you empower me will be the difference in regards to me staying or going. And now to the last point, accountability. How do you define accountability? When I talk about accountability, what are some of the first things that come to mind? Typically, people describe accountability as the person who will stand up after things have gone wrong. That's on me, my bad. I accept full responsibility for my mess. Yes, that is definitely a part of accountability, but it is not the whole piece of accountability. True accountability is so much bigger than just taking the bullet when things go awry. Accountability is made up of four truly important factors. One is commitment. I mean, I have to be committed to the goal. I have to be I'm being held accountable for something, so I have to be committed to what that something is. Two is resiliency. I have to be able to bounce back because as I'm working towards this goal, I may slip up a little bit. I may forget something. I may make a mistake, but I can't sit there and just, dwell on that one mistake. I still have to get the job done. So you want to be resilient. Also, it is ownership. I do have to take ownership of when I do make a mistake. And so ownership is a part of accountability. It's just not the whole piece. And then the last part is continuously learning. So when I do make a mistake, I want to be able to learn from that mistake and not be like, oh, I made that mistake. Oh, I made that mistake again. Oh, I made that mistake again. That's not, even though I took ownership. Yep, I made it again. My bad. Oh, I made it again. Yeah, John, that's my fault. Oh, I did. Yep, that's okay. So I took ownership of it, but I kept making the same mistake. So true accountability has that last piece also, which is always learning from the mistake. The level of accountability in your organization today will definitely dictate the level of results in your future. Today's accountability is tomorrow's results. So basically, what I'm saying is accountability is the key to unleashing performance within your organization. So let's do this recap in regards to the employee retention plan. First, onboarding and training. We want to start out on the right foot. We want to get it, if we start out on the correct foot, going in the right direction, if we're getting on the right bus, then we're going in a good, we're going to be able to, we have a strong foundation to build upon. And then next is the communication always from, you to them to you, us to them, everything. Everyone needs to communicate. All departments, sales need to be, they need to talk to service. Marketing needs to talk to sales. Leadership needs to talk to everyone. So we want to make sure that we're communicating because we don't want people sitting in their office, reading emails with attitudes. Next is empower. That I want them to feel like this is their business, that this is their baby, that this is, so I want to have them be the entrepreneur, the owner, the CEO of their role. And so now, once I give them that power, now they're going to truly take ownership and they're going to truly drive my business to where I want it to go because it's their business as well. And then when we give the kudos, when they're doing a great job, make sure you're congratulating them for that great job. And then motivation and feedback. I want to keep them motivated, but I also want to let them know when things didn't go exactly as planned. But you know what? That feedback also works two ways. I don't want to be the one that's just, giving all the critiques and not being able to accept them. So you have to open yourself up for that as well. And then lastly, giving them that career path. You want to give them a direction that they go into. And that's truly what we help a lot of our clients with. Not only do we help people hire that onboarding training piece, meaning getting the right people in the right seats, but let's talk about the people that you already have in the organization. Let's talk about developing them. And that's why we have our retention report that truly talks about their strengths and challenges and how to best manage them. And when we have the manager's profile, we talk to that manager about how to best manage that person based on their style and the employee style. So truly understanding who you are, having that self-awareness is key, but also understanding who you have on staff is also essential. So when we're talking about retention strategies, you want to be self aware. You want to know who you are. You want to know who you have on staff. Please type in any questions that you may have in regards to this session today. I want to thank you all for joining me today. So you can go ahead and type your questions, comments, or concerns in regards to the chat box. Also, while you all are typing, just want to let you know next month for our Lunch and Learn is going to be leadership versus management, the difference in how to be good at both. And that's going to be a very interesting, engaging webinar because there is a difference. Just like there was a difference between onboarding and orientation, there's a difference in regards to when you lead people and when you manage people and kind of when the trade-off happens. And if you would like to have the presentation today, you can look right there to the left side of the screen where it says takeaways. You can go ahead and click on that to download. And if you would like to have any additional information in regards to customizing what would, for your organization, definitely contact me. There's my email address. Or if you have any suggestions for lunch and learns that you would like to hear about, definitely get in contact with us here at the Omnia Group. It looks like we are at the end. I don't see any questions. I want to thank you all for joining me today, and I hope you all joining me today.